was not as elegant as I was hoping.
Moana's back on the big screen. Moana 2, because Lord knows Disney loves doing the same thing over and over again and just hoping it makes the same amount of money. But while Disney's giving us sequels and songs that sound a bit like that other song, we're left wondering,
when are we going to see a Disney princess who is visibly, fabulously, openly queer?
no, just me? That's not true. You clicked on the video.
Or it autoplayed.
Sure. Or that. Hi, my name's Jessica and welcome to my channel where we talk about culture and history relating to LGBTQ+, disability, chronic illness and vintage fashion. So subscribe if that's your kind of thing. And if you spend some time today in this video being annoyed by the amount of glitter you can spot on my face, me too, friend. Yeah, we've been doing Christmas crafts with our toddler and it just gets everywhere. But it's a question worth asking when on-screen representation for different types of minority groups continues to grow.
Even green ones. Although she does lose out on her lesbian kiss, so...
And off-screen, the queers are, as ever, if anything, overrepresented in entertainment.
Even if we're not all publicly out, you're never more than 2 steps of a glass slipper away from a queer on a film set.
Of course, this isn't to say that there hasn't been queer representation in Disney films, it just hasn't been good. So for those of you saying, but these are children's films, well, honey, the gays have been here all along. You just didn't care because they were the baddies or the comic relief. We've been fed scraps, decades, villains, sidekicks and ambiguous friendships. Sure, there's something that tickles me about Ursula's dramatic flair, Scar's sarcastic drawl and Governor Ratcliffe's makeup routine, but I'm not, relating very much or feeling very represented.
All props to you though if you're actually a queer supervillain watching this. I am so happy for your representation, sweetie.
It's time for Disney to give us a hero who owns that queerness. Don't you agree? Moana 2 released November 29th, 2024 in the UK and on November 27th in the US.
Oh, unless you live in a European country where it's called Vaiana due to trademark conflicts.
Right in time for the holidays is the follow-up to 2016's Moana and catches up with the eponymous hero 3 years after the events of the first film. So after receiving an unexpected call from her wayfinding ancestors, Moana forms her own crew and reunites with her friend, the demigod Maui, as they journey to the far seas of Oceania to break a curse on the hidden island of Motu Fitu, which once connected the people of the ocean. It's a bit similar to the original. Her own crew? I wonder if...
We have had gay pirates this year. We should really keep the ball rolling.
Moana is played by Hawaiian actor Auli'i Cravalho, who first gave voice to the princess between the ages of 14 and 16. And Auli'i is really giving us representation. Since coming out as bisexual in 2020 on TikTok, Auli'i has been very vocal about her identity and how her queerness is important, both in the characters she chooses and the ways in which she plays them. She played an explicitly queer Janice in the movie adaptation of the musical Mean Girls, and she talked about how the character is explicitly queer. And not queer-coded, because it isn't 2004 anymore. She is currently playing Sally Bowles in Cabaret with Adam Lambert, making her the youngest actress to play the role on Broadway, which she described as letting her queer flag fly. So yes, she has been consistently vocal.
She also revealed she has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome earlier this year, and not that it means anything, but me too. Better add being incredibly flexible to a princess core cheat sheet.
However, I feel like something has changed since she started doing promotion for Moana 2. She talked a lot about her Polynesian pride in the promotional events and premieres for Moana 2, which I think is so nice, but I can't help but think that she looks a little different to her normal look. Way less visibly queer in the promotional material.
Wait, what are you saying? Do I not look queer enough right now? Do you need me to pull out my queer card because...
Whoa. No, not saying that. No, obviously, there is not one way to look queer, but it sure seems like some of her queerness has been toned down to make her more family-friendly. Granted, she does look more like Moana now, but maybe Disney are just scared people will start thinking of her queerness in relation to the Disney character. Why does Disney seem so hesitant to show queerness in lead characters when LGBTQ+ people are already part of the story, just behind the scenes? LGBT people have a long but complicated history of being part of the Disney company. Sean Griffin describes in Tinkerbells and Evil Queens how when he joined the Gay Men's Chorus of Los Angeles, many of its members were Disney employees or ex-employees. LGBT groups were organising gay days and weekends at Disneyland throughout the 1990s, and Disney even held a benefit at the park to raise funds for AIDS Project Los Angeles in 1986, which is, in gay history, a very long time ago. That is our Middle Ages. Gay joke, gay joke. Obviously the gays have always been here. Sorry. We know that Disney Renaissance, as we know it, was deeply influenced by the work of Howard Ashman, a gay man who worked on The Little Mermaid and Beauty and the Beast, and did a fabulous job. I have a video on that if you're interested.
On the other hand,
Disney halted donations to politicians that supported the Don't Say Gay bills in Florida after employee walkouts in 2022.
yes, halted, meaning that they were donating before.
At the time, CEO Bob Chapek declared that the way Disney supported the LGBTQ+ community was by telling inspirational stories. That's questionable.
Are they telling those inspiring stories?
As I said, a complicated history. It is true that in the last 2 years we have seen what seems like a commitment to do better in terms of queer representation. In the GLAAD Responsibility Index, which measures LGBTQ inclusion in mainstream film, the Disney company has gone from a consistent fail grade every year, yes, including all of those years with the first gay Disney character, to a good grade in 2023, with over 40% of movies including explicitly queer, unequivocal representation across Disney and its associated label 20th Century. You've probably heard about the same-sex controversy in Lightyear, but actually Strange World contains much more plot-relevant same-sex attraction.
Did anyone actually watch Strange World? I feel like no one heard about this one.
No.
None of those movies contain princesses, though.
Yes, it is time. So, let's talk about why we need a gay Disney princess. The Disney princess phenomenon. I know, there's a lot that can be critiqued about Disney princesses at several levels.
No comment.
Disney princess brand as a concept was only created in the year 2000, when Disney's consumer products division patented the princesses as a group and started aggressively marketing them as a franchise. A multi-billion with a B dollar franchise with over 25,000 different consumer products. They show very stereotypical gender relations between the princesses and the princes, even in the movies that are more egalitarian in their approach. They're also not the most bodily accurate representation of any human body type, given that most Disney princesses have eyes that are set further apart than their waistlines.
I know. Even as someone with an unusually large distance between my eyes, I am aware of these things.
True, the Disney princesses are stereotypically feminine, but the values that they present, kindness, intelligence, resilience, are positive regardless of gender. The fact that Disney princesses are celebrated and loved within their movies for traits that are sometimes disparaged for being too feminine, or that they stand up for themselves when they're told to not be themselves, is one of the reasons people of all genders and sexualities who've been told they are not tough enough or manly enough, or that they're doing their gender wrong, see themselves in them. It's not nice to be told as a little girl that you're silly for liking pink. Disney princesses are also a great force for setting standards of what children think beauty and goodness looks like, and yes, there is a danger in that. Speaking about fairy tales and race, Dorothy L. Hurley talks about why it's important for Disney princess movies to show characters of colour, because not only does the Disney version provide visual images for the fairy tale it's depicting, these images and the relative value of group membership associated with the images are then translated into beliefs children hold about status in particular group membership, in relation to notions of good, bad, pretty and ugly as reflected in the film. But Disney is aware of this, and they are clearly working to improve racial representation, as we've seen in later projects like Encanto. Look at this little child realising he looks like the kid in Encanto! How can you not be happy about that? Side note, Disney is also trying to be more diverse in terms of racial representation in its newer live-action adaptations.
Oof! And people have been having wild takes on that.
Because people get way more defensive about what princesses represent. Apparently, Rachel Zegler is not white as snow, and melanin can't develop underwater. Wait, what? Because apparently it's just too far from the journal original that her skin is not literally the colour of snow. I did not hear this level of outrage for the live-action remake about the fact that Aladdin and his princess are originally Chinese in the 1001 Night story.
Well, I guess they should have kept the cannibalism and having the evil queen dance with hot red shoes until she dies just for accuracy's sake. You know, for the children's sake.
Also, I'm sorry to be the one telling you this, but you know what also can't develop underwater? Mermaids. Yeah, mermaids aren't real, but I digress. Other than matters of representation, it has been proven that children do often associate and learn from Disney princesses beyond their looks and attractiveness. A 2020 study on the attitudes of pre-adolescent girls on Disney princesses conducted at Brigham Young University showed there were different reasons kids felt drawn to the characters. Yes, you and I know it is silly to need to do a study to prove children have different opinions on things, but the peer review process is important. Some children enjoyed the princess's positive attitudes like kindness, courageousness, and a sense of adventure. Some enjoyed their clothes or dreamed of living the life of a princess themselves, don't we all? And some felt that the princesses were empowering and appreciated seeing girls who were confident and do what's right, no matter what other people or their parents tell them. Disney princesses are the blueprint for the happily ever after. They've shaped how generations of kids think about love, bravery, and what it means to be a hero. And if you are the kind of, may I say, party pooper who thinks the idea of love children develop from princess movies is unsustainable and detrimental, but wouldn't you like to see the movies who are shaping the way young people think of relationships and love, having more kinds of love? We have seen the Disney princess model evolve since the 1930s with both society and the way in which we understand what kind of role model young children need, from early princesses like Snow White and Cinderella who barely even talk to their prince, have no clear defined goals, to princesses who want to explore beyond what they know, like Ariel and Belle, to princesses who want to own a business, like Tiana, or protect their family, like Anna and Elsa, who actually get to be the queens by themselves. Important point. Thank you. They are princesses because they were born that way, and then they get to be queens. Doesn't matter who the hell they marry. The princes have also evolved, to be fair. It took 3 whole princess movies for a prince to get a name at all.
You truly were groundbreaking, Philip.
Honestly, it is actually okay if you find the early Disney princess movies inspiring, and actually it's fine if what you like about Disney princesses in general is that they wear pretty dresses and they are beautiful. Yeah, we are also very used to shaming children and adults for liking things that are considered girly. Like that means someone is shallow or uninterested in important affairs, but that's just not true. Yes, studies have shown that children can learn lessons about kindness, support, and positivity from Disney movies. But I'm here to tell you, if your child or you like that Pocahontas has long flowy hair, or that Belle has nice over-the-elbow gloves, and a dress that twirls while she dances, those are actually perfectly valid reasons to love a character. Although I don't think the speed of the romance really is that much of an issue. I know Frozen makes all those jokes about how Anna's just met this guy and you can't marry someone you just met, but surely we all know that we're operating on fairy tale time. I actually hate those jokes. I can't believe I'm about to say these words, but surely we don't think that the speed of romance advances in a fairy tale needs to be realistic. The monkey with a vest is flying on a rug, and we don't even know how much time has passed between the conclusion of the plot and the final wedding shots. That's why in Tangled, they make Eugene say they took a long time to decide to get married whilst the end bit's playing. The idea of what true love is in the movies has changed throughout the years. So now in Frozen 1 and 2, we talk about love for one's family members and self-love. And in Moana, we're talking about the love of your people and your culture. So Disney has updated its princess formula in so many ways.
Well, one thing hasn't changed. They're all straight as an arrow, even when they have a love interest. None of these iconic heroines are openly queer or challenge traditional gender roles of romance. And then in movies like Brave, why does not having a man have to be part or all of the story at all?
The lady doth protest too much, it's true.
Why does the story have to be about how she does not want a man as opposed to what it is that she actually does want?
Moana escapes this because she's younger and not marriageable age, but what's going to happen with that in the sequels? Inevitably sequels, because Moana 2 with Wicked 1 and Gladiator 2 have made this the most profitable Thanksgiving weekend at the box office ever, so there are going to be more. Is Moana going to get a love interest? A plot line about how she does not have time for a love interest? Or are we finally going to get something more daring?
At least they should definitely give Maui a love interest, because it's starting to get uncomfortable. Like, she is aging, and they spend a lot of time together, and there's a lot of time on screen, and it's all just a bit uncomfortable. I mean, I just need to know that this is not where we're going, just so they're like,
how far will she go? Into the unknown. Sorry, but that song really does give finding yourself and coming out kind of vibes. There are currently 13 official Disney princesses. Are you telling me that every single one of these princesses is straight? Even Raya? Do you think what Raya has with Namari is straight? Because Raya's voice actor doesn't think so.
Raya isn't an official Disney princess.
She will be, and I will buy all of the merch for my wife so she gets the representation she missed out on as a kid. By the way, Kelly Marie Tran, who voices Raya, came out as queer while I was writing this, which I feel is very important to mention. Do you think Elsa, who built a snow palace of isolation, is straight?
Oh, unequivocally not. I'm not questioning that one.
The Give Elsa a Girlfriend campaign. Full disclosure for the purists, I am aware that neither Elsa nor Anna are actually in the official lineup of Disney princesses, potentially because Elsa is not technically a princess, but a queen, and spoiler alert, so's Anna, but possibly also because Frozen merch just sells well enough as it is. They don't need to be lumped in with the other girls.
But Mulan, who is of no royal blood at all and does not marry a prince, is in the lineup, and some actual princesses are not.
I know, it's blatant Kita from Atlantis Erasure. Now that's out the way. When Frozen came out in 2013, it became an instant success. And Elsa became, in many ways, a gay icon. Let me explain. She does not only not express any interest for any man, but also, in the beginning of the movie, she's trying to hide who she is. This is keeping her isolated from her family and other people. She has to conceal, not feel. Her parents think they're doing what's best for her by not letting others see the real her. But clearly, this is just making her sad, ashamed, and lonely. She's ashamed of who she is. You can see why this story would resonate with queer viewers, and why many would see the parallels with their own stories, particularly when Elsa then embraces herself in the song Let It Go, refusing to be anyone but herself anymore.
Let it go, let it go.
If you're still not convinced by the queer reading, you may be unsurprised to learn that some right-wing commentators in 2014 declared that Frozen teaches kids to be gay and is the work of the devil.
Yay! We're finally doing the thing.
Which is really funny, because I can't emphasize enough how much she is not explicitly queer. Although, she probably just doesn't have a love interest because she was originally written to be the villain, and villains don't often get love interests. But, I guess the queer coding does fit if she's a villain, so. But also, as you may have guessed at this point, I grew up with straight princesses, and I really loved them. And I did not learn to be straight.
I do have a large collection of dresses, though.
So in 2016, when the news of Frozen 2 came out, the hashtag Give Elsa a Girlfriend became viral and started fan petitions, fan art, and raised everyone's expectations. Even Idina Menzel, Elsa's voice, was on board with the idea. In the words of the originator of the hashtag, Twitter user Alexis Moncado, the entertainment industry has given us girls who have fallen in love with beasts, ogres who fall in love with humans, and even grown women who love bees. But we've never been able to see the purity of a queer relationship. To be fair, the metaphor of having to hide who you are just works at levels, so many levels. And it doesn't just work with same-sex attraction or gender. Elsa's also often seen as asexual or aromantic, and Frozen's also been read as a narrative of disability, as Elsa's ice powers mean she can't make use of her hands without difficulty. Can you imagine being a lesbian princess who struggles to use her hands? So unrelatable. Some have also seen parallels between her powers and anxiety disorders or autism. Conceal, don't feel, say the parents. As she deals with her sensory overload. That's part of the issue with not having explicitly queer characters. Minority groups end up fighting each other online because they feel like other people seeing themselves in the characters that are important to them is just taking away the only representation they have. Actually, you should get to have representation that doesn't require you to write a PowerPoint in order to defend it.
Because let me tell you, Frozen 2 did not deliver.
The director seemed quite pleased about all the discussion about Elsa's sexuality, and there was some teasing about what the movie would bring. I love this article where she finally addresses Elsa's sexuality by saying it means the world to us that we're part of these conversations, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I'm sure you had the best of intentions, but there are only so many times you can hear, I'm so happy this character resonates with queer people, as the only response, without feeling like you're doing all the heavy lifting for your own representation. And also because, it
did not go there.
The sequel doubled down on Elsa's independence, but there was just no romance at all for Elsa in any direction. Don't get me wrong, I love the power ballads and the ice powers in Frozen 2. Can you believe they gave us a magic forest, an enchanted river, and a talking snowman, but they could not give us a sapphic love story?
Ugh. If you can give Olaf a philosophical existential crisis, you can give Elsa a girlfriend.
This just felt like such a missed opportunity for queer representation. Although the show yourself song at the end does make me cry gay tears. Disney clearly do care about their LGBTQ+ audience, and after the whole Don't Say Gay bill fiasco, they even declared they wanted to drastically ramp up queer visibility. They organise Pride Days at Disneyland and always include queer creators in family campaigns. They also are clearly taking care of LGBTQ+ people within the company.
But you know how it was wrong of Elsa's dad to tell her to stay inside and hide herself and not be who she really was, not tell people anything about herself because of her ice powers? Even though he did love her, it was still wrong. Yeah, it's the metaphor that keeps on giving.
Also, I think we tend to blame non-Western markets for Disney's refusal to give us better representation. But the counter-petition for the charming Prince for Elsa hashtag came from the evangelical right in the United States. The man saying that Elsa teaches kids to be gay is from Colorado in the United States, and it was a US conservative magazine that called Turning Red embarrassing and offensive in 2022 for daring to mention that 12-year-olds sometimes have periods.
Hands up if your period started before you were 13.
Yup. Disney is a global corporation and always tries to make the safest, most inoffensive bet that will sell in as many places as possible with no issue. But maybe we do not need to talk about the choices that Disney's making in terms of how homophobic countries are forcing their hand when there's a lot of opposition on their own turf. And frankly, probably a lot of queer people in those other countries who would also love to watch Elsa get a girlfriend.
So think what an excellent opportunity Moana 2 would be for a queer princess.
Oh, yeah, it's awkward. Did you...
I have read no reviews.
I can tell.
I want no spoilers.
Sure, but...
Well, you know, Moana is a princess voiced by an openly queer actor who talks about how queerness is really important to the roles that she chooses, and this is really going to be like the perfect time for Disney to bring a queer princess into the canon, even though Moana 2 didn't get this kind of same grand swell of excitement that Frozen 2 did from the queers. You know, I think we'd still really go hard for Moana. We really would. I think it would be great. I think we'd love it. I think it would be perfect. I think this is the perfect movie to do this. They should do it.
Seems unlikely, even to happen in the probable third film. Feel free to surprise me, Disney, please. Considering Elsa Carvalho is having to tone down her queerness on the Moana red carpet for some reason. Obviously, she is looking gorgeous, regardless. That is not what the issue is. The issue is, why does Disney support her queerness behind closed doors, but hide it in plain sight?
Asking the real questions here.
The Little Mermaid wanting legs instead of a fishtail, Mulan singing reflection, Belle's will to follow her heart in spite of what everyone around her tells her to do. You can see how all of these storylines can appeal to queer kids who may feel like they don't fit in. Moana's very much in the same line as these themes. It's a story of identity, courage, and breaking free from societal norms, of finding her true self and charting her own course.
Oh, and they definitely tried to make a new Let It Go with How Far I'll Go.
And it is true that Moana breaks away from the societal norms of her island by deciding to sail, but also the movie ends with her family and her society seeing that there is a place for them to accommodate how she wants to live, and that makes in turn everyone's life richer. So it's not only a story of breaking with expectations and societal convention, but also about how family embracing the things that makes a child different makes both the family and the child happier, better, and their lives richer, and that there are different ways of living a happy life. You don't even need to have an explicit romance in order to explore those themes. Though to be fair, I am hoping for an explicit romance.
With a girl, because if Elsa can't have her girlfriend, Moana deserves one.
And I think Olay deserves to be her full queer self when she's talking about Moana. Why a queer Disney princess is long overdue. Remember that thing I said before about fairy tales and race and how children learn to see Disney princesses as examples of everything that is beautiful and good? To a point, this also applies to queerness. Having LGBT heroines who are seen as moral and aspirational teaches children that it's possible to be all of those things and allows queer children and their peers to believe someone can be attracted to someone of the same sex or explore their gender identity while still being heroic. Having explicitly queer characters does not only help to mitigate prejudice, it can also enhance the effectiveness of educational programs by allowing children in queer families to identify with characters more strongly, because children learn and remember more from characters who are similar or familiar to them, or who are otherwise socially meaningful to them, like parents or teachers. According to the Williams Institute, as of 2024, out of the 167,000 same-sex couples living in the United States, 14% are parenting at least one minor. That goes up to 18% for the 119,000 married same-sex couples. We got that. And 5 million children are being raised by at least one LGBTQ+ parent. Are none of these children supposed to see children's media that reflect the way their family looks? In the UK, it is only 5% of same-sex couples who are raising children apparently, but that is based on 2013 data, which is actually before same-sex marriage was legalised, so there are probably a lot more of us now. Why has no one studied this? What? Why do we not have new figures on that? When kids grow up seeing queerness as normal, they grow up believing it's okay to be themselves or to support their friends and family however they are. I've talked about the parasocial contact hypothesis already in a previous video, but as a refresher, this is the idea that people can develop empathy through engaging with members of minority social groups parasocially, even if they don't know the individuals in real life. The concept comes from a 2007 study where participants were observed after watching 2 gay men and 1 gender non-conforming person in reality TV and stand-up comedies. In all 3 studies, parasocial contact resulted in lower levels of prejudice in viewers. I don't have data for primary schools, but this has also been studied in secondary school environments. A film-based programme that showed movies with LGBTQ+ themes in British Columbia proved that queer students of all genders reported lower odds of homophobic discrimination, suicidal thoughts, and verbal harassment than students in schools that did not have similar programmes. Fun fact, it was also better for the heterosexual girls, actually.
But hey, we've moved forwards massively in LGBTQ+ representation in the last few years.
We have shows like Steven Universe and She-Ra and the Princesses of Power with overtly queer storylines, as well as valuable lessons for children, like not needing to prove you are worthy of respect and love and being more than what other people can get out of you. Spoilers for She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, sorry. Don't worry, I will just very heavily imply the queer storyline, like I'm a Disney movie from before 2023. She-Ra is canonically a princess and canonically queer, Disney.
Look at her! Bridal carrying her love interest.
How could you let DreamWorks beat you at your own game? Oh, also, Nate Stevenson, creator of She-Ra, is also the author of the comic Nimona, which was turned into an Oscar-nominated movie in 2022. Nimona is not a princess, but the story of the shapeshifter has been described as a very clear allegory for the trans and non-binary experience, and it includes an openly gay knight. Maybe just hire Nate Stevenson, Disney. He's clearly doing his part. It is true that the creator of Gravity Falls complained in 2020 that Disney overtly stopped him from including explicit LGBTQ+ imagery and characters in his cartoon, but since then, some Disney animated shows like Star Wars vs. the Forces of Evil or Amphibia have had some small nuggets of explicit representation. And more recently, The Owl House has had a major same-sex couple as a large part of the story.
I mean, she is the main character.
So clearly, the trajectory of Disney cartoons shows that they are actively trying to do better.
So maybe it is time.
The Disney princess is not only powerful because she challenges societal norms, she can also create them. She tells children it's important to follow your heart and be yourself, and so it's important they show as many kinds of yourself as possible. This is why some people have such strong reactions to a black Ariel or a queer Elsa. They're afraid of a little kid being able to believe that they are beautiful and strong and able to be admired, not despite what they look like or who they are, but because of it. A queer princess could redefine ideas of love, bravery, and happily ever afters for everyone. But it's not just about romance. It's about telling children that their story, their identity is worthy of being celebrated. Being queer, being gay, being attracted to people of the same sex as you, it isn't about other people necessarily. It's also about you and who you are, especially when you're young. It's a part of you. It doesn't have to be a sexual thing. It really annoys me when adults don't get this. In conclusion, Disney is one of the first windows children across the world have on love, adventure, and how to relate to other people. Children in every country can recite and sing Disney movies by heart and watch them again and again and again. Why not use this massive power to shape the way kids see the world in order to make everyone feel included and worthy of love? Particularly now that actors like Auli'i Cravalho are able to share their story openly and bring their experiences of their queerness not just behind doors like a shameful secret, but as something that is not only worthy of being celebrated, but also just a normal part of life. We need more of that representation in Disney films and around it.
Children of every gender see two women together and think, oh, that could be me, or oh, that's beautiful, without having to stop to think if it's possible.
4-year-old Gamey really needs that. Imagine what it would be like seeing Moana sailing the world with another brave girl, or to see two princesses riding together into the sunset, living adventures and standing up for themselves. I'm sure you already have. I'm sure that if you are queer, you have a very clear idea of which Disney princesses are actually queer-coded, even if they can't say it out loud.
Again, Raya is very high up there.
And remember, queer children also deserve stories with happily ever afters that are about them. Because every princess deserves her happily ever after, no matter who it's with. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.